Frustration in the end cancelled out by qualifying. We are now into the last 32 of the Europa League. We have qualified with 2 games to spare, which is absolutely amazing. But it wasn't a great game in truth. Welcome back to Analysing Arsenal. These are my thoughts to the game in the Europa League at the Emirates between Arsenal and Red Star. They sound like an energy drink. I feel like there's an energy drink out there called Red Star. You know, and just, yeah, they do. They literally just sound like, you know, one of those monster drinks that you'd have, you know, the Red Star. But anyway, besides the point, we have drawn 0-0 with them in probably, well, it wasn't the most exciting game and not the greatest game that is going to liven up. I mean, it was better than the game that we played against Red Star away from home. I mean, that's not really hard because that game was just horrible. And this game was all right, but it still wasn't great. But it was an improvement on the away game that we played against Red Star, so I guess that's good. But we have drawn 0-0, but the most important thing is that Cologne beat Bate Borisov by 5 goals to 2, and meaning that we had to, if we won tonight, we would have qualified anyway. But if we had drawn and Bate Borisov failed to beat Cologne, which they did, they lost 5-2, then we would have qualified anyway with 2 games to go, which is great because Bate Borisov and Cologne are facing off each other in match day 6. So, you know, it's not really... Well, no, we play Cologne in match day 5 and Bate Borisov take on Red Star in match day 5. So, you know, both of them still have to play each other, so it means that we are still through nonetheless. But, yeah, the game wasn't great. The major problem we had tonight is that the creativity going forward, you know, was very, very poor. We had about 60% of the ball. We created chance after chance after chance, but it was that final key pass, that killer pass, to break down this Red Star defence and, you know, get in and actually score. That final ball, that final touch, that final moment, you know, that kind of fought to try and get the win and get the goal. You know, that final little piece of magic was missing and was poor, ultimately not allowing us to create chance. We had one clear-cut opportunity which came in the second half by Jack Wilshere, but other than that, it really wasn't great, and just our creativity in the final third let us down tonight. And Red Star had 2 or 3 really good chances where they should have scored. They skied 2 really good opportunities because they got down this left-hand side. They were open, they were free, they were in acres of space, and then they just capitulated and either skied it over or you know, drifted it wide. And they had a couple of really good chances. We were lucky that, you know, they didn't take their chances, otherwise they would have got the win, you know, easily tonight. And, you know, so we had a couple of defensive errors, a couple of, you know, not great moments, and you know, going forward, you know, particularly for Arsenal perspective, which was just not great. You know, our creativity just let us down. In terms of the team tonight, I was very, very happy with the team. I'm liking what Arsene Wenger's doing. You know, we kind of have 2 different teams, like the team for the Premier League and then the team for like kind of the cup competitions are 2 different teams. And I like the fact that he still has, you know, Olivier Giroud, Walcott, Jack Wilshere in the side, and then he's got, you know, the likes of youth players in terms of, you know, Reece Nelson, Maitland-Niles, you know, Nikita came on in the second half as well after the magic that he caused in the League Cup against Norwich. So he came on, didn't really cause any problems and didn't do anything that, you know, lit up the Emirates. But, you know, it's great to have, you know, and Arsene Wenger's giving these youngsters a chance. And, you know, they're not letting us down, you know, they're doing the job. And, you know, in the last 2 games of the Europa League, now that we have qualified for the knockout stages, it means that he can field even more, you know, even more young players into the field and give them a chance, and they deserve to have a chance. You know, it's great. We've seen with, you know, England winning the under-17s World Cup. You know, it's great that, you know, youth players get a chance to express themselves and try and make a name for themselves. And, you know, in these cup competitions, it's great. You know, particularly with the big game against Manchester City on Sunday, I expected none of the first 11 that are going to feature at Manchester City to, you know, will be, you know, from that game tonight. Petr Cech was on the bench. Obviously, Davos Bean's injured, so Matt Macy comes in. He had a couple of dodgy moments. He had 1 or 2 moments where I was just like thinking, what the hell are you doing, Matt Macy? But he had an incredible save when the ball came in. Red Star whipped it in, went onto the header, and he got fingertip save to it. It was an absolutely brilliant save by Matt Macy. And, you know, he probably will start the game in the next 2 probably Europa League games and also the League Cup game that we've got against West Ham. So, you know, it's great as well for him to get some experience. You know, he's been at the club now for I think 4 years. He was out on loan last season, So it's great that he's getting a chance to express himself and show his wings. And he had a couple of really good saves. The Red Star goalkeeper, may I add, had a couple of really dodgy moments. He slipped over the ball going for a goal kick, and he lost his footing not once but twice, which was quite commendable and quite funny to see. But he had a couple of really good saves. The one clear cut opportunity that we had, Jack Wilshere floated in and just tried to chip it over, and it was cleared off the line. And you thought if that had gone in, it was one of those where all we need to do is just take one of our chances, and we just failed to do that because we had a lack of creativity going forward. So, in truth, it wasn't the greatest game, but it's cancelled out because we got the job done. We've qualified for the last 32 of the Europa League, and more importantly, we've got 2 games to spare where we can literally just field a whole team of youngsters. Going out to Cologne, it literally is a meaningless game now, and then the final game against Bati Borisov. They're 2 games where you can just literally play your youngest side, give them a bit of experience, and have a bit of fun, really, because the job is done. What is going to be interesting now in terms of the Europa League is when we get into the knockout stages, is Arsene Wenger going to keep this system of having a couple of experienced players in the ranks and also keeping the youth players? Because the further you progress into this competition, the harder the team that you're going to get, particularly in the knockout stages. It's going to be interesting to see how we deal with it, because right now, obviously, the Premier League team is going to be completely different to the Europa League team. Sanchez played on match day 1. Petr Cech played on match day 3. You're going to get a couple of players here and there playing. Bellerin also played on match day 1. But right now, Arsene Wenger's kind of got 2 different teams. But once we get to the knockout stages, and once we come up against sides that have actually got a lot of quality about them, and games which start to have a bit of significance, is Arsene Wenger going to put out a stronger team, or is he going to keep the same system, as he's put faith in this team, and he's going to play them right to the end? If I know Arsene Wenger as well as I know Arsene Wenger, he will keep the same side. But this could be our only avenue into the Champions League next season. So we need to take this competition seriously. And right now, that is exactly what we're doing. We are taking this competition seriously. We are kind of putting everything into it. And also, the mix of playing, youth players and experience is working. Whether it will work when we come up against some bigger teams and stronger teams, no disrespect to the teams that we faced right now. It's going to be interesting to see, really. Because also when you look in the Premier League, I would say Manchester City, Man United have got the first 2 spots. Tottenham have got the 3rd spot. So it's going to be between us, Liverpool and Chelsea for that top 4. It's going to be very, very competitive and very, very tough. So this could be our only avenue into the Champions League. We don't want another season in the Europa League. I'd love to win the Europa League this season, and I'm 100% committed to the Europa League, but I don't want to be here next year. I want to be playing on a Tuesday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, not a Thursday night. It's not great. So, this could be our only avenue, so we've got to take the competition seriously. And it's going to be interesting to see whether we, can actually motor and, against the big boys. Are we going to put in some of our stronger teams? Particularly then when the fixture list is so congested with so many games. It's kind of a headache, really, for Arsene Wenger. It's going to be interesting to see, if he can deal with it or not, and who he's going to change. But right now, we are on good form. We haven't lost since Liverpool. We keep this unbeaten run going. It wasn't the greatest game. We could have won it, but we could have easily lost it. And we can now go into Sunday's game against Manchester City with confidence. But these next 2 games, Manchester City, Tottenham Hotspur, these are going to be the 2 games that will test and see where this Arsenal team are right now. Because after that, we've got Cologne. We're going to be playing a whole, a shed load of youngsters. It's going to be a completely inexperienced team. So these next 2 games, the Man City game, then we've got the international break, and then after that, the Spurs game. It's going to be interesting to see exactly kind of where this Arsenal team are and how we can go. If we can get 4 points out of our next 2 Premier League games, we're in a fantastic position. But there's always a chance that Man City can roll us up. I mean, Spurs have just beaten Real Madrid 3-1, and we can't actually beat Red Star. So it's not looking great. But on our day, we can beat absolutely anybody. So again, it's going to be really interesting. These next 2 games are pivotal to our season, and I don't know what is going to happen. I'm terrified of Sunday's game. I'm terrified of the North London derby. So, we just have to see what happens. And if we can get, a win and a draw, even 2 draws, as long as we don't lose, looking back, it probably, 2 draws might be a decent result for us. The Man City game, kind of for me, is one of those games where you know there's going to be a lot of goals because Manchester City are not great defensively and Arsenal are not great defensively, and both teams, I mean, Manchester City are absolutely phenomenal going forward. They're absolutely stunning. They're breathtaking to watch, and Arsenal on their day can be absolutely exceptional going forward. So the question is the team that's going to win that game is going to be what team can outscore, who can get the most goals in that game. That is going to be really the winner. I mean, Man City could absolutely embarrass us, put 5-6 past us, or we could be resilient, get a draw, or even snatch a win. At the Etihad, it's going to be the toughest game we've played all season, even tougher than Liverpool. And then after the international break, you've got Spurs. That's another different kind of game, because when you look at it, the North London derby, it's so fiery. There's so much that goes into it. Again, it's going to be about what team can start better, who can get the first goal, and who can motor and set up a defensive shape. We might have to do what Man United did last weekend, and that is just to sit back, defend, and then try and hit them on the break and get that one lucky goal. I don't know what's going to happen. In terms of the Europa League, though, the job is done. We've got into the last 32, and we've got 2 games now where we can just relax, chill, put out our an inexperienced side, give loads of youngsters a chance to make a name for themselves, and we just keep this winning run going, though. But Sunday is Judgment Day, really, And at the minute, the Premier League, it's looking strong. We're on a good run. We're in good form. The Europa League, the job has been done now. We're into the last 32, so we can just forget about that. And into the League Cup, we've got West Ham, and potentially can book our place in the semi-finals if we can beat them. So at the minute, things are looking good. But with Arsenal, it only takes one result, one performance, where everything can just go back to being in a crisis, just like we've seen at Watford. But right now, it's positive. The game wasn't great. It was a poor night. We lacked a lot of creativity going forward, but we managed to qualify, and that's the main thing. Gets the job done. As I keep saying, frustration cancelled out by qualifying. I'm going to leave the video here for today, guys. There's not really much more to say about that, but it wasn't really a great game. I'm kind of giving you my preview for the next 2 games, giving my Europa League thoughts and all that good stuff, and that really, I don't want to just be waffling on. I think that's probably as good as we can get it today. Again, poor game, but in the end, we get the job done. This is DJ Pepper signing out. Please make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Thank you so much for the support that you've shown on the channel recently. There is a big month. This is the biggest month of my channel, I think, ever. This is the biggest month coming up. There is a lot of great stuff coming your way this month. It is a huge month, so stay tuned to the channel, turn on my notifications so you never miss a moment. Check out my other videos as well, and as I said, subscribe for more great content as well. And I will speak to you guys on Sunday for the big one, Manchester City against Arsenal, the same day as Manchester United Chelsea. What a super Sunday we have ahead for you. I also have a horror video out for you guys in between that, hopefully. So yeah, stay tuned, and I shall speak to you later. Take care, and until then, I will speak to you all then. Good night. Peace out.